Happy Saturday. There we go. Let me turn that down a little bit. We'll come over here. There we go. My beard is at the point to where it's very, very itchy. Very itchy. It's coming in okay though. Gotta do a little straighten up of the neck right here, but yeah, now it's very very itchy. But yeah, we're just gonna chill out tonight. We're gonna do a slightly sleepy stream. Feeling tired, so we're going to hang out in Krita tonight. I know a lot of people like YouTube comments and Discord and are like, why don't you use Krita anymore? And it's like, I use everything. I use everything all the time, which is weird. But like, I'll open up everything and do like 4 or 5 brushes, do a few effects or whatever, and then jump to something else. And because I always have brushes in my mind about like, oh, I could use this brush here. I could use this technique here. And each program has its own kind of way of doing those things. So like anything watercolor is immediately Rebel, you know. If I want to do a wash, a more like tight rendered wash after that, I like Rebel for the craziness of it and like the true natural, like the water goes wherever it wants look. But if I need something a little more tight and rendered, I actually go to Clip Studio that has a really good wash system. Procreate's pretty good now. I mean, it's always been pretty good, but now I'm better at using it, so I can do that. But with Krita, on my most recent YouTube video, people were like, hey, if you like the digital charcoal look, get these few brush packs by Ramon. And I'm good friends with Ramon Miranda, so whenever they threw his name out there, apparently last year I think he made some new charcoal brushes, and they're like, get those because they're really good. So that's what we're going to use tonight. We're going to use that tonight to kind of draft out a sketch. I don't know what of. I'm thinking of like a soldier standing with a stick because I'm very original, but you know, just something to get used to the brushes. And once again, I'm going to try to work on the little like slightly lower looking up camera angle. I think that's cool because it automatically adds a little bit of dimension to it. Might sketch in some clouds and he could be like in a field or, you know, kind of whatever. And we'll do that. And then I'm having the idea that if we get all the texture and the values and stuff there, then if we paint over it with a limited palette on like color and overlay, you know, like a color wash on a color layer, and then on top of that do overlay and then color it more detailed, like use a little bit more, you know, darks and lights and stuff like that. We should get something that's pretty cool. I'm thinking it's gonna work. It should work. But we're gonna kick over. We're gonna get started on the and yeah, we're gonna experiment with these because apparently they're super good. Yeah, I will put the brush pack in the description. If you look for and also I think it's called the SK1 and SK2 brushes in Krita by Ramon Miranda. I will have a link in the description at the end of the deal because it has to process the stream until then. But hopefully on chat, if you're watching the chat archive as well, and you see it on the screen here, just search those terms. And it's 2 packs. One came out like a year and a half ago, and the other one came out about 10 months ago. So I have both. And we're going to dig in and kind of figure out how these all work. The one thing is they can also use tilt functionality. And I do not have tilt functionality on this Huion. I wish I did. I really wish I did, actually. Like, I'm so impressed with the Procreate Apple Pencil stuff that I was like, oh, maybe in the next few years I can upgrade this tablet to a newer one that has tilt, because I was like, that's kind of a big deal. I used to think it didn't matter all that much, but it actually kind of does. But yeah, we're going to kick over. I got my headset here. I'm going to listen to the tunage a little bit, but let me kick over there. Boom. And also I have a, let me hide this real quick, the chat, so you can see. I have kind of a Zorn palette right here. Kind of mix some stuff and things like that. So, yeah, just Zorn inspired palette and did all that. So this is going to have, you'll notice there's no real blues because in the Zorn palette, the only way really to get blue is to rely on the titanium white and the ivory black because they are both cool tinted black and white. So whenever you mix them together, you get a cool gray. Same thing for green. The green isn't really green. I mean, digitally it is, but whenever you're painting with real acrylics or real oils or whatever, the green is just essentially you're mixing the yellow ochre with either the titanium white or the ivory black. And because those run a little cool, you have yellow plus blue equals green. So it's not super vibrant green, as you can see, but it's green enough that we can make like grass and stuff like that. So, yeah, well, we have that here. I'm going to move my mic. I'm going to pause it or mute the mic real quick. I'm going to move it, and then I'm also going to hook up my headset. So it'll be a second. And I'm also going to put the music up so that way if I stop talking for a bit, then music will play. And that's exciting. Oh, and I think I'm going to be also recording a blank version of this. So basically something without the chat on the screen. Here, let me put that back on. Something without the chat on the screen for YouTube, because I want to talk about Krita a little bit in the next video. I'm finding that specific videos, like here's a video about Clip Studio Paint, here's a video about Rebel, those do really well lately, like super well. And they're easy to make, they're fun to make because it gives me a reason to use these programs. And yeah, we'll do that. So let me mute this real quick and I'll turn up the music and then we'll get situated. All right, here we go. It's funny, I needed like a macro button to mute my microphone, not only just because of this, but also I've been sneezing all day, and I'm about to sneeze again, so I'm going to mute it real quick, and then we'll come back. I have like 3 or 4 big like pillows around me, since everyone's asleep, so that way I can like sneeze in them. All right, man. It's the allergies, dude. The weather's actually getting cold, which I like. I like cold weather. The rest of the family very much prefers the warm weather. I like the colder weather. So I'm also a hermit, so it gives me a reason to bundle up and all that fun stuff. But, yeah. Just my headset has a little volume dial on it, so I'm going to move... Let me just keep this right here so I can sneeze into it when I need to. But yeah, so we have, let me get kind of a dark charcoal look right here. Yeah, I mean, I have not used these at all. Haven't used them at all. But see, things like this, like background shader tilt. All of these are tilt, which means you can use them without tilt, but they just work better with it. But we're going to just goof off a little bit here and kind of see what we can make, because yeah, I like the fact that we could maybe, and there's SK2. All right, gotcha. So these look more like color pencil style, while the first ones look more like block of charcoal. Well, I say, well, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's kind of fair. I was like, is that a fair assessment? Maybe. Okay. Yeah, we're just going to dig in. We're going to sketch, block out some stuff, get some shapes in there. Let's see what we got going on. So yes, I am on my sketch layer on multiply. That way, whatever I make will end up showing up no matter where it goes. All right. Oh, man. All right, I'm going to start recording on there. Okay, so now we're all set. Let's see how these feel. Is that one mechanical pencil? Mechanical pencil grainy. See, and yeah, I've noticed the thing about, and this might just because my pencil does not have tilt. Sometimes graphite brushes don't quite work right because of the lack of tilt. I do like that one. That one's pretty good. Let's see this one. Oh yeah, that one. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. So if we need kind of a real, like, block and shape type stuff. Something like there. Okay. Oh, hello, liner brush. It's a good liner. Ooh, another good one. Okay. Okay, so SK7678. Then kind of a basic shader right there. Cool. Oh, interesting. I would not think that would be the mark based on the brush, the preview, the cursor. And based on how hard you press, how does that change it? Let's see. Oh, yeah. You can like slowly introduce it and make it more dense. That's cool. Same thing there. That one's a little less that, but still very good. Static tilt. Ooh. All right. I see what you're putting down. All right. Kind of the there's a really popular brush. I need to use it and get better with it, but it's making the rounds right now, and it's called a hard soft. So one side has a hard edge and the other has a soft edge, and that seems to be what this emulates pretty well. Okay, there's like a charcoal blocker. And shader tilt. Okay, oh yeah, so this is just a big fill. Kind of a fill thing right there. Oh, that's a good one. I like that texture. I like the very dry. Yeah, these feel pretty good, man. And then the electric eraser. That's cool. Yeah, that's pretty convincing. And then, yeah, there you go. Kind of your kneaded eraser type stuff. That's nice. And it's a smart move having the same texture on the eraser. So it's not going to be a super like digital eraser on top of a more natural looking brush, you know? So that is pretty nice. So yeah, let's hang out in this one for a little bit and see what's going on. let's break this up. Once again, since I'm the most original artist that ever lived, let's go ahead and break this up into a rule of thirds. Let's do boom. Yeah. Cool. Remember, is it holding shift that does a straight line? Or maybe not, actually. Yeah, it's not posting anything. Oh, that's just adjusting brush size. Okay. There you go. Color pick, other color pick. How do you straight line? Yeah, who needs it? That. Kind of a lower sense, but if you want to know kind of a cheat sheet method of of using the rule of thirds in a pretty good way, you can actually, like, if we put our character right here, let's say, let's just block this in right here. All right, so we're gonna come in here. We're gonna see, basically I'm just making kind of the silhouette, right? So we can come in and refine shapes and sizes and all that stuff here in a little bit. But if you go ahead and make, yeah, we can maybe do that. Maybe do this. What is up, my friend? Welcome, welcome. We're just doing some real lazy blocking out right now. So do something like this, and then an interesting thing you can do, let me actually bring his arm up. Right here. And then this, he could be holding like a shield or something down here around this. This. Let's cut this. Maybe not that extreme, but we can bring this down here. And see, it kind of intersects at the major third right there. I'm thinking of like, you know, the old Craig Mullins like Age of Empires paintings. Maybe we do something like that. Character right here. But what's funny is if we want to utilize that rule of thirds, a great way to do it, like a fantastic way to do it. You see this bottom line right here? Have this be the canyons of your horizon line. So like this right here, and then like you can just make this and like come up. And then like as it gets further away, you can kind of deviate more from it, make it more like ground level stuff, right? And then let's say this third, like this third right here, if we want something, this could be like where some clouds are within this third, like this. You can kind of like sprinkle the detail around. So the thing is, you want a little bit of something in every block. All 9 blocks, you want something, right? So this would be here, and then like this one has something. This one has a little bit of something, but let's say we have our, like a bigger cloud right here. Right? And then every third has something. Our main character is on one of the actual lines, right? Like I need to change the proportions and stuff, but Krita is awesome. Krita is so good, I wrote a book about it. So yeah, this is my first time really using these charcoal brushes, but Raymond makes some amazing brushes, so I'm not surprised these are working really well. You know what I mean? Like, these are just bang on. So if I do that, and you don't have to adhere so much to the rule of thirds. Like, it's just one of those things. If I have no ideas, I either do the rule of thirds or I do like the Fibonacci sequence, the spiral deal. They're just easy ways to get started. You can always deviate from it. In fact, a lot of times it's actually stronger to deviate from it. But this is like easy mode. You know what I mean? Like, you'll make a decent image. You don't have to think too hard about it. And then it's just up to you to kind of render in the interesting stuff. It needs to be a little beefier. Another thing that I need to like focus on and really start utilizing how to do, I need to I need to just do, instead of one little mass of stumps for legs, I need to actually do like, here's one leg, here's two leg. It makes the silhouette better, you know? So if we have something like this, I mean, and as goofy as this looks, this could make a pretty good piece right now. And then this comes up as like a spear, like he's a spearman. Probably need to adjust the angle of it though. Yeah, let me do that. This is the nice thing about working just in shapes right now. Nothing is... This needs to be more like that. Something like that, right? All right. So, if we have that, we can then... can lower this. Then we can actually either sketch or, because I don't want to get super the nice thing about working in this like charcoal big graphite type stuff, I don't like getting super clinical with my drawing at first. I like to keep it grainy, I like to keep it messy, just because it's an easy way to go. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna like make our scratchy sort of lines and stuff, and then it's an epic pose. I need to find some of those. It's funny, I think I have one as a wallpaper. Or no, I changed the wallpaper. But I have the whole wallpaper set that Craig Mullins made for like Age of Empires. All of his stuff looks like that. It's like big, vast landscape, and then you have one of the kind of the hero characters, or like somebody representing one of the you know, the races, the classes, or whatever they're, you know, the empire. And yeah, he did one of like William Wallace, and like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's that type of stuff. It's really cool. But yeah, this is definitely aping. This is completely just stealing from Craig Mullins, essentially. He's one of those artists that I just owe royalties to forever, because every idea I would ever have, he probably already did, and did it infinity times better anyway. you know? So this is interesting. Maybe we'll add... So we have this. And really this cloud right here, I'm basically just kind of using to differentiate the silhouette from the background. You'll see whenever I add in some values, you'll kind of know what I'm sort of going for. But I also need to bring in more like smaller shapes of clouds in this area to like break this up. Because that is the nice thing about the rule of thirds. If you put something in each square, doesn't even have to be anything big, but like something in each square, and then one of your main ideas is on one of the lines, whether it's this way or this way. I kind of cheated. I did two. So I did the canyons right here on this line, and then the actual character here, and this staff or spear, whatever it's going to be, is coming down, and literally they're going to kind of connect into a V shape. It keeps your eye locked in to the graph, you know. So like if we hide that, okay. So this is where I will actually like kind of come in and figure out what I want this guy to be. It's not going to look pretty, but it doesn't have to, right? Not yet, at least. Let me get mechanical details, tilt. That's a little big. Yeah, this one's fine. See what I need it to be. I need it to be like we're just kind of looking up, you know? And then this kind of cups around. I'm drawing them a little big because this graphite pencil's a little big. But what I'll do is I'll kind of put this in. I'll draw them kind of the way I see it, and then we'll just lower him a little bit. We'll select it and bring it down. So if like eye here, nose there, mouth here. We're just kind of building it up, you know. What I really need to do is like focus on the correct perspective. Actually like box this in. So like if that's here and like his arm is here. And then kind of how we did the other last time we were streaming, the foreshortening of the arm for our cult leader. We do that. Kind of do that. Bring in. Here's his thumb. Here's his fist. It doesn't look great, but. Remember, this is just to block stuff in. We'll need to make it. It can be about the intersection points, but you actually make. To me, it makes more sense to really lean on the lines more so than the actual just points themselves. Like the points can work. Like if you want to really render at the points, even if it's not necessarily your focal point. But if you want to like render stuff out that way, you can. And that's a good way to go. Really, all of these are. Anytime you hear like a composition rule, it's one of those things that those are the rules that are made to be broken. Composition rules, you will always find stuff that follows those composition rules, and then you will find absolute masterpieces that break every single compositional rule. You'll be amazed at how many actually follow the compositional rule. Like, it has a pretty good batting average, you know what I mean? But it's not like 100% success rate. You can still have a messy image or an image that doesn't quite draw a viewer in, even if you, this would be about belt level. And then like, there. But yeah, you'll find stuff that fits the mold and it works really well. Or then you'll find stuff that kind of tries to fit the mold and it just doesn't work. It's too boring, or, you know, what am I looking at? Okay, I need, here we go, lasso tool? Lasso tool? There it is. God, way down there. It's blocking my palette, bro. We don't need the palette yet. We will, but we don't need it yet. We'll just do this. Control T. Let's bring that down a little bit. Yeah, see, this is more about the size I was looking at. Select. Cool. See, and that can actually come down here. Almost be like back here. And this comes up. We can actually get that silhouette a little better. A little better. Dude's head needs to be a little bigger. And we'll keep his outfit really basic because he's not, I mean, he's kind of the star of the show, but also the whole composition is going to be. So he doesn't have to be super intensely like rendered or anything like that, I don't think. Well, let's go over here, do this. Something like that, a little more. Wish I could remember the hotkey in Krita for a straight line. I know I can get the line tool, but I'm lazy right now. I might get it here in a little bit. I see what's up. That needs to be more like that. There it is. Okay. I was like, why does he look weird? It's because his body was not following the perspective very well. Yeah, see, this kind of works okay. as long as the shapes read is pretty balanced, that's all I kind of care about right now. Because I can come in, and whenever we really start sort of trying to figure out these details and like how stuff is set up, and that's when we can kind of lock in. And so like I said, this is very much just a very bare bones setup right now, but just goes to show how powerful something like the rule of thirds can be. We filled this with like a 50% gray. Let's see, where would that be? That would be, there's white. Here we go. Boom. Layout. And if I come up over here, and then if we do a value sketch, so now we'll use black and white and stuff and start actually putting in values with the charcoal. I'm hoping this should start making it read even better. Value sketch. So if we grab this, we make something, oh god, we grab something a little, oh, I still have the paint bucket tool. I want this here to be, let's do clouds first. See, and the nice thing about clouds is you can make the white of the cloud that's actually making the silhouette of our character the most high impact white cloud, because everything around him is going to be darker, right? So if we like bring this in a little, sort of do something like this. You'll notice with these strokes, I'm going the same way. I'm doing like a diagonal look on the brush stuff. It's going to keep everything a little more uniform for right now, which is nice. Put the messiness in here like that. That way I can start to sort of see it, you know? I haven't even really used the other set at all yet, so I can do that too. And any of the ground closer to our deuter is going to be a little darker. And we can like push this back a little. Kind of give a little bit of weight to that horizon line right there. We'll do some of this, get a little more detail, random brushwork here. So that way if we have that grid out, you know, we can do that. Make sure there's a lot of, yeah, there's something interesting to look at in each quad, you know. Let me add in a little bit, a little too much. And using charcoal like this is pretty nice too, because it forces you to work a little bigger than you probably normally would, which is, you know, pretty good. And then if we came in and like, now this is where we would do our like, oh, well, now let's get our, you know, ambient occlusion right here. You know, darken that, keep the hand kind of dark too because it's blocked. We have this, some of these, let's get that. Sort of darken his face up, maybe not that much. But you want it to be a little darker than normal because I'm planning on putting some highlights on there. So we can do that. Oh, I'm noticing. I think the brushes themselves. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I was like, do they have a multiply mode? They have a darken mode. I was wondering why when I was picking colors or values, it wasn't like bringing in, if you notice, I have this, but it's not bringing anything over because it's on darken. But if I go back and change this to normal, I bet, there it is. That's cool. Okay, that explains how the brushes work a little bit though. That's a cool way to do that. That's a smart way to do that actually. And you'll notice that the values right now are kind of blending together, but that's kind of fine because we're going to be really blocking in some light here in a minute. And we need to make that staff quite a bit thinner. It doesn't make sense to be that thick. So pants. And then like if I came in with the white and was like, oh, well maybe there's a highlight here. Maybe there's definitely a highlight up here on his helmet. Something right here. It's just kind of building blocks of the image. Right here. Boom. Boom. This one will come out a little bit more though. And like, if he's wearing like chainmail or something, it could be there. Yeah, there we go. So something a little like this, but this is where Yeah, so diagonal strokes like that are pretty cool because they allow, what I've seen a lot of is if people, what you can utilize with charcoal, and this is what we did with life drawing a lot, was depending on what it was. So if it's the person's face, if it's the shadows on a person's face, hatch them, you can hatch them any way you want. But if you hatch them like straight up and down, but then the highlights hatch diagonally. And then if you have any mid-tone overlay type stuff, if you're going back in, you can do those maybe the other direction diagonally. And then if you have the background light that's causing the rim light, maybe do that up and down as well. Like distinctively, almost the same way you would pick a color to be something. Like this would be this color, these shadows would be this color. If you think that way, if you're thinking of putting a color down, change the direction of your crosshatch, and it's going to have the same effect. Even if you use the same graphite, even if you use white and charcoal and whatever, like white color pencil, and it works. It's weird that it works, but it works because your eye realizes that there's a contrast because it's a different thing that you're looking at. It's pretty cool. Like then if I wanted to like come in here now and get like kind of nitty gritty, let me get the SK2 because these seem a little more like yeah, these are like your circular deals right here. I'm gonna lower this sketch actually. Lower the sketch. That way I can come in here and do a refined sketch. And then do kind of a darker version like that, right? Do a smaller. And like this is where I can actually come in and start. See, it's still a little blocky, it's still a little messy. We're not doing, it's not inking or anything, but it is going to be more, let's figure out this structure of the face and where the eyebrows are. Something like that. And then we can definitely cheat. Since it's a medieval guy, we can give him like a beard. It's always a good way to go. Do need to make his body proportions are all wrong, but that's what we'll figure out right here. Looks like this needs to come down. Yeah, like his head's way bigger than it needs to be in relation to his body. So Something like that. And then it's like, okay, then if you came in and got the white pencil and sort of did this stuff, or this pencil and came in and, you know, I'm working pretty small here. This is only a 1080p piece, which is probably why I'm having a little bit of like, uh-oh, I'm working at way too low of a resolution, because this grain is making it very tricky to do it. But really the answer for that, if you ever run into that problem where you're like, oh, the grain's kind of getting in the way, or this texture on my brush is sort of overwhelming stuff, it just means you're probably working too small. You need to up the resolution of your canvas, because that way, you know, a size 20 brush on a 720, you know, size painting is going to be pretty big, but, you know, size 20 brush on a 8K painting is not very big at all. That's like fingernail details, you know, like, so it does make a big difference. Like this needs to even come up more. The thing is, even get rid of that. Let me bring his nose in. Needs to come up. Everything's not following perspective, which is why this is looking quite odd right now. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so that sort of thing is better. It needs to come up. Everything needs to come that way. So, like, this needs to turn. This needs to come that way. Face stuff needs to come that way. The helmet needs to come that way. The angle of this needs to come that way. This needs to come down. Yeah, so this needs to come in. Oh, I see. And then this needs to be like up here. Gotcha. Gotcha. Kind of using these. See, maybe working this way is going to make me start using inking brushes more. Because now that I'm doing this, I'm like, oh, I really need to like specify where stuff is. And like, how tall is it? And where does it come around? And where's the form for it? And all that stuff. See, like this can come down, the little flappies. The flappies on the helmet. That angle's way wrong though. The hat needs to like be, or the helmet needs to be really wrapping around the head instead of, it's like, it's a little too tall. So we can actually cut out some that. Alright. See, that is really nice about using really chunky, like graphite-y textured brushes. Everything still kind of blends together okay, so you can see if stuff looks right without really kind of bogging into the details yet. So, like that. His neck needs to come down like that. There we go. And then like we'll just do little... The letter C works really well for chainmail. You just do little letter C's, and then you can even get dark. Letter C, letter C, letter C. Just kind of tell you where it is. Then you can come back, do backwards letter C's to kind of round it out. But I need to bring his arm out. It's actually not as bad as I thought, but it's, yeah, it needs to be adjusted. See, this is why it's nice to have a nice cloud right here, is because you can use that to really define. So my tips, and it's something that I need to do more of, my tips for learning how to do like hats and helmets and things better is do a lot of form exercises to where you put a shape on a shape. So like, let's say we have a block right here. You know, let's say we have it like, actually, yeah, that's fine. Let's like wedge it out a little bit like that, right? Because it needs to, actually needs to come this way a little, but you know what I mean. Okay, if we do that, it's actually, so if you want to do a shape on a shape, if you have something like this, go ahead and put a sphere to where it's like fairly evenly balanced on it. Which might take a few times, which is fine. Get rid of those leading lines. Then you can do like a cone coming out of the side of this one. So this is all about form and structuring form on top of itself. Because what is a hat? You know what I mean? A hat is basically, and then like if we wanted to do a cylinder on top of this, like on top of this, you would do like, okay, I'm gonna make another circle here on top, bring this up, do another circle in the same way, but we see a little more of the top of it, right? And you can get rid of this. So do you see what I'm saying? Like, if you keep practicing shapes on top of shapes on top of shapes on top of shapes, and you keep doing that over and over, stuff like wrapping armor around a character is gonna be way easier. Way easier. Like, it's gonna be laughable how much easier it is, you know? And then like, if you got a rim light over here, you know, you got some highlights or whatever. So it doesn't even have to be really big, elaborate stuff. It can just be this, like, and then, you know, hopefully that, you know, kind of showcases what the sort of technique, this is very much like a drafting thing. Once you get a handle on these drafting techniques that you can do, it makes it way easier. And then like, if you did like ambient occlusion, you could then be like, okay, where's the darkest darks? It's like, okay, if the darkest darks are there, the darkest darks are here. You can see how it's starting to get form. Like, it's really starting to hit pretty well. That's all that helmets and stuff are. It's just being able to go in perspective like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, mine's not. Mine has all kinds of mistakes on it. It's just... Oh, that's cool. That's a cool, like, shading brush right there. Yeah. Cool. But yeah, you know, something like that. And you can do that for hours and hours and hours. And it's fun, too. You can, like, fill up a whole page just of that type of stuff. And you'll be amazed at how much easier, like, complicated overlapping shapes become, because you're going to be used to it. You're like, okay, well, where does this end? Well, where does this begin? And then you can start getting fancy, like in that little example that we had. You could even start saying, okay, well, the weight of the cylinder on top of the circle is going to squish the circle. You can start making things up like that in your head. But the more detail you get into it, so that way instead of a perfect sphere, it's going to be like kind of an oval, like an oblong shape. Because then you're going to start distributing weight. And then, so if you have good lighting, if the shapes make sense, and you're distributing weight, stuff looks right. It's just what your brain says, like, yep, that's correct. So it's a cool way to go to learn it, because it doesn't take a lot of time. As far as like each painting or each drawing or sketch that you do will only take 20 minutes. It's not you could do it like on a lunch break, or like his fist is right here. Sort of right there. I like that silhouette. I like that kick over. This is actually just his arm. Put it here. And see, I told you that this is kind of a cheat mode, having the cloud, the white cloud back behind our duder. This is why. Because you can play with a silhouette. And if you need to erase stuff, you can just use white. And now it's kicking it back. That. Another thing I need to fix. See how this is looking. Basically, our horizon line is like this right down here, right? So once again, if we remember our physics of it, anything above the horizon line you have to see the bottom of, which is kind of true for what we have right now. But really, what we need to do is curve it like that. That's the big thing I'm trying to get better at doing. Instead of going back and fixing stuff, like while I'm rendering or something, I'm trying to fix some of these type of mistakes earlier. Because I notice that I usually put off that stuff a little bit too long. So it's usually better if I can figure it out earlier. And like... something like that. Yeah, same thing with the hand. See how the hand is very orthographic view? It's very flat. This. Get rid of that one. Go this right here. A little arrow line. Yeah, we're doing okay. We're doing okay. For a quick little sketch, not bad. I need to actually extend this up. I might extend it all the way out. That might actually answer a few of the little issues I was having. So we have like this. Come back in here with the white and sketch out, kind of carve these negative shapes out a little bit. I'm just going to do the top parts of these clouds a little more highlighty, you know, and then I can kind of like come in through here and then just sort of, because you have to remember clouds are also 3D shapes. So we're going to do like the bottom is shadow, the top is a highlight. And it doesn't have to be like super, super dark at the bottom, but dark enough that you can tell that there is form to these things. Some of them you can kind of keep flat, like stylized and things like that. I really like clouds. Clouds can be really difficult if you're not used to it, but then once you make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them, they, you know, you don't worry so much about, you know, if they look exactly right or, you know, that type of thing. So do I use a chainmail texture or do I hand paint it? Usually, whenever I just block it in, I actually just hand paint it when I block it in. And then it's funny, if I realize that I really need the texture to look super good on that chainmail, then I'll go ahead and use a predetermined brush or like a royalty-free chainmail photo or something and like photo bash it in. That's usually for client work. For personal work, I know it sounds bad, but personal work I actually don't care as much, so I might just keep it handmade if it reads okay. But if it is client work and they're expecting like, no, we need this chainmail to be like of this era and all this other stuff, odds are pretty good they gave me reference material, and then if I cross-examine it and then realize, hey, you know, are we legally allowed to use this as a some sort of reference photo, you know, if they have the rights to it? Because sometimes companies do. They take their own photos and do their own research. And if the answer is yes, then heck yeah, man, I'm going to use that photo texture all day long. But otherwise, I just kind of keep it hand painted, because if everything's hand painted, then it looks like everything's hand painted. You know what I mean? It's whenever people start getting into that crux of, well, I'm going to use photo texture to, you know, put all the textures in my stuff. It's a cool look, and like, you can definitely do it. You know, I'm not the art police or something. You can definitely do it. It's just that things don't quite look as coherent if you do it that way. Because it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't ring as true, I guess. Whenever you're looking at it, you're like, someone put a photo in this. So yeah, we can, and I'm liking how the silhouette up here looks. You notice I have the navigator on, or they call it overview in Krita, but I have that on because I like to look at the thumbnail and see how it's reading okay, you know? Yeah, this one's reading okay. start getting rid of some darker lines if I don't need them. Because I think we're just a few steps away from starting to get a little more detail, a little more render in there. I can start bringing in some messier brushes and stuff like that. But yeah, on that like kind of texture point and like specific brushes to do certain things type point. Back in 2020, I think, I did an art challenge for, there was, oh yeah, it was Alex Heath. He's a League of Legends artist, and he's done a whole bunch of stuff, Magic the Gathering, like, he's super, super good. Very, very good illustrator. And it was him, who was it? I know it was Paul Canavan. What was her name? It was Mila? Mila Kunik? Maybe? All three Magic artists and stuff, and the whole idea for their server was, hey, we're going to do an art challenge where you make a Magic the Gathering card, and it has to be of Nissa. You know, the green, basically, like a kind of a druid forest sort of thing. And one of the critiques that I got from them, they said the storytelling was really good and they really liked looking at the image. The only thing is they could tell that I used rock textures for the rock, or like rock brushes for the rocks, and I used water brushes for the water, and that like they could tell. And at first I was like, how can you do that? But now I understand, because there's only like a dozen rock brushes online. So once you use one of them, you can see it a mile away, which for concepting and stuff, it's not a big, I mean, yeah, go ahead and use it. Hell, even for illustration, go ahead and use it, because not everybody has seen those, you know. But when you're at the, you want to get to that like D&D Magic the Gathering level, people are going to know, and they're like, just paint it. Just look at what that brush does and then figure out why it does it, and then look at more real life reference, and then try to paint what you see instead of using the rock brush for your rocks. You know, just paint a rock. Like, see what you can do with it, because it's more interesting, because you have to make more choices, you have to, you know, it takes longer, but it's better. Violet, welcome, welcome. So yeah, we are just blocking in some stuff with some graphite sketchy, you know, doing this before we add a little bit of color and then a little bit of paintwork, you know. But really, if an image, if we get something that reads pretty dynamic at this level, it's gonna work pretty well as a painting, I think. And like, actually darken that and bring it up. So I'm staying zoomed out here. I know I could get in and do like the real nitty-gritty of this, but I ain't gonna do that. We're just gonna stay out. So yeah, that's okay. Go ahead. Let's color. Yeah, let's color. We're gonna call this underpainting. So I have kind of a Zorn palette here. This is where we're gonna stay kind of locked into, because this will force me to make some more cohesive, interesting decisions. Let's go ahead and, since it is the Zorn palette, let's use one of these like ochre, like darker. Let's see, do I have more darker desaturated? Slightly warm. That's not bad, actually. There we go. Okay, so see how this kicked it over a little bit. So what we're gonna do, we're actually now going to let's come in. Let's use these bigger block-ins. We can still do that. Let's go to SK1 and use some of these. These right here, or actually, where's that big one? There it is, the shader. So good. I did not expect it to be this much. Yeah, Rebel is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So I'm going to use this kind of darker burnt sienna-esque color. And what I'm going to do is just come in here, and on like the midtones, I'm going to do a light brush of this color. You're going to notice I'm kind of leaving the clouds alone. I'm going to come in, but I'm going to come in with more of a yellow, I think, or something. Just to kind of, and you see I'm only really kind of going over those midtones. Maybe a few dark midtones, but I'm keeping it a little sporadic. I've noticed that this is a pretty effective way to start an underpainting, is not to make it perfectly. Don't make it perfect. Doesn't matter. You have to think, if there's visual variety here, and then you stack this on top, like of, let's say, let's do something like this, and actually come in and hit here, like here, and you do this. Normal. You know, you do this type of thing. It's still sporadic, it's still, there's stuff missing, you know. There's little spots of gray or less saturation or whatever. All of this is going to play in once you stack and stack and stack, and you keep doing that. It's all going to play together and really give you some dense, you know, dense things to look at. So I'm just kind of coming in, and I'm staying within this dark region right here, but I'm picking just random stuff. This is only bringing in the hue and the saturation right now, since I'm on a color overlay layer. Or I always say color overlay. It's a color blending mode is what it is. Because here in a little bit, we're actually going to use the overlay blending mode on a new layer. So the sky will be a little more blue, which means it's actually going to be a little more green since we're using the Zorn palette. Zorn palette, your blues are just gray because you're mixing titanium white and ivory black. But to get the green colors, you would mix your yellow ochre, this color right here. You would mix this, you know, and then you would mix in either the titanium white or the ivory black to make whatever version of green you wanted. Because it's not going to be super saturated green, it's going to be this sort of thing, you know. And then like, we want these to be that, do that, because then we can also get this. That out a little more as well. So those are the hills. But then if we wanted like a blue sky, we would get this color in there. It's all relative. And this looks dark and muddy and everything, but that's actually kind of perfect for an underpainting, because all of this is still going to show through. Because this is the great thing about underpainting, is this is literally how you would paint. If you have a canvas and you want to like stack your oil paintings, or if you're working in acrylics and you want to put down a base layer of paint, because pigment works better on pigment. It flows better, it mixes better. So instead of just going in a one and done layer like an alla prima thing, which there's reasons to do that, alla prima painting. But if you really want that rich, beautiful, like people come up and they're like, there's so much to look at, and like, look at these beautiful hues and shifts and tone. That's because of underpainting. You can think of it like you put your basics down and then you glaze, and then you glaze, and then you glaze, like layer after layer after layer. But the way we modify that, or the way I modify it digitally, is I kind of set up the mess on bottom. Then I do kind of a color overlay on top. Then I make a new layer on top of that, and that's where I can kind of color pick, get a thick brush, make that my thickest paint. And it always, lately, seems to really like resonate and look really good. So yeah, here's the most blue you can get with a Zorn palette, basically. So we're gonna introduce some of that. Something like this. Some blue here. And remember, anything cooler is going to recede. This is how our eyes work. Anything with a cooler, more blue hue is going to get pushed to the background. Right? It's just a great way to go. So let me see kind of what we want here. We can really go kind of buck wild, and we wanted the greens. And if you have you do like warm under here, kind of bring that sepia tone stuff back to the shadows. Just something interesting, right? You start differentiating the light and the darks based on, instead of a value shift, you do a hue shift, actual color contrast instead. So if we do that, and then we do like a yellow up top here, it's a lot. Looks kind of ugly, but we can definitely control it, because if we come in and we get like a super blue and start putting it around here, you know, Zorn palette doesn't normally get very saturated. That's kind of the beauty of it, actually. It kind of makes all these muddy colors. But like, if we were to come up top here and we have that blue that we have, and we just go like this. Oh, wait. It's a paint layer that's on normal. Oh, I see. We need to be Oh yeah, there's not really a... I need to make one. Well, there's kind of a light blue. Let's see. You know what I mean? Like, you come in with those. But what we're going to do real quick, I'm actually going to make this an overlay. That way I can come in and we can do like, okay, let's hit with some saturation. Now let's get out of the charcoal stuff. Let's go to paint. Then let's go to wet bristles rough. And if we come in here, and this is on overlay. And the way overlay works, if you have stuff at a 50% darkness, it's going to work just like a color overlay. However, if you come in and it's lighter than 50%, it's going to lighten the value. If it goes darker than 50% gray, it's going to darken the value. So you can really start like, I'm going to brighten this up, but see how we still have the texture there? It still looks really cool. So if we do this, and we come over here, there's a slight blue. Yeah, there you go. See how it's almost acting like a wash more than it's acting like just a pigment turn. We still have all that nice gritty, sort of sandpapery texture underneath, but we're getting a more vivid and still pretty grayed out, but this is why we come over here, and then if we go like this and like it really is like a watercolor sort of wash that you can do on overlay layer. It's really cool. See, this is still considered the underpainting. You're just giving it a little bit more variety. A little bit more texture and stuff to work with as far as colors. So if we come over here, if I like grab that one, come over here. Before we start the real painting, I will do a fun little trick to make everything a little more harmonious. So some of these. See how crazy those reds pop? That's the cool thing about the Zorn palette. The reds are like eye-blistering red compared to everything else, which is cool. I mean, we want that to be our focal point, right? So if we do that, we bring this in, extra that out. If we grab a, let's say that nice brown color, like if we come over here with this. See, it's just making really random marks. It's changing the hue slightly. But it's giving us a little more just stuff to work with, which is good. And then if we go like bright green, yeah. Just messy. You see what I mean? Just mess. And it's funny, one of the people that I learned this the most from is Bob Ross. Bob Ross was great at kind of getting into these predicaments to where it's like, okay, this painting looks kind of crazy. How are you going to make it work? And really the secret is, come over here, we do a color overlay. Let's grab, if we want this, so yeah, I would say the light, is actually coming from like over here and back kind of, well, actually not back really, I think it would be in front, because if we look at the belts, they're kind of having a little bit of highlight right here, and then the helmet, and then the staff right there. So yeah, that would make sense where the light is coming from. So this almost acts like a bounce rim light. And then, yeah. To be honest, I haven't super thought about it yet, but I think based on what we have right now, yeah, it would be to the left of the image, coming towards us and up, you know. That's what I would say. But here we have this. Let me grab a nice warm. Because I always like the warm looks of the Zorn palette. And then, yes, I'm going to have wet bristles. That's fine. Because I'm going to come over here and remember we're on color. Nice, like, sepia tone. Right? So we have that. Then, so we're on color, opacity. Now let's lower this to about 20%. See how it automatically kind of ties colors in together that didn't quite work before? Because it's shifting everything towards that one light deal. And if you wanted it to be like quite a bit more intense, you can just put it up to like 40%, you know? You know, you can kind of crank it as much as you need to. But yeah, once you get around the 70%, it just kind of drowns everything out, which is not bad, but you know. In fact, lately I'm starting to do more in like this kind of 70 to 80% and then do some saturation hits underneath it. That seems to be pretty good. So if we have something like that, that works pretty well. So this is what I would consider essentially the underpainting, you know, and we have all sorts of texture and weird strokes and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of where that is. So I would actually select all, edit, copy merged. I would make, paste. I'll call that merged underpainting. I'm going to get all of those. We're going to go Control G. And I'm going to name this Setup. Now look how clean our work area is. We have all the stuff that's set up, our merged underpainting. Then what I can do is duplicate the merged underpainting. because I want the most amount of information on my canvas to work with as possible. Because like I said, even in digital art, it's kind of the same way. If you have information, if you have paint, if you have anything, it's going to work better. The brushes work more naturally. Like, it just, you get a better experience if you're working on something, like on a layer that has information. So why not have all the information? You know what I mean? So that type of thing. We can, first we gotta save what we're working on, because good lord, I haven't saved yet. Desktop. Night sketch. Okay. In fact, I wonder if I might be. Here's the 100%, right? I wonder if I might be working a little too small for my own good. So I wonder. Let me deselect. Let me. Properties. Layers 13. Okay, yeah, we're 1920 by 1080 at only 72 ppi, pixels per inch. So that kind of explains why we can't really get a lot of good render here. At least like tight rendering, because we'd be working in like 1 and 2 pixel brushes and you can't really do much with that. So what can I do? Can I scale image to new size? Yes. 150. There we go. That's all I'm gonna do. Just print size, auto, filter it. Yeah. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, so this is going to be bigger than 4K by a little bit. That's fine. That is a-okay. Because if I did, if it was a 72, and then what would I do? 144 pixels per inch to be an exact. Is that math right? Yep. Okay. So let's actually keep it at 150. There we go. That's better. Save. And you may wonder, like, oh, you did all that work and now it like blew up the image and it made it messier. That's fine, because this is the underpainting. This is when you want to make these decisions, because you don't want to start getting like pixel perfect rendering and then be like, oh, actually I need to make my image 4 times bigger. Like, you're not gonna have a good time. You know. So just to kind of show you how this works. Yeah, this is fine right here. Let's come in and let's start working on Duder's face. Just so you can kind of see what I'm thinking. Let's work here first. Yeah. Do this. So then we can like grab. Oh yeah, this is gonna be cool. All right. So this is very kind of a razor sharp brush. It doesn't have a lot of texture to it. That's actually okay for right now. We need to sort of like fill in stuff right now. See, I'm really just going to try my best to color pick from what I have, and then we can go over in a minute. And yeah, I mean, the basic opacity brush is a banger. This one's amazing. Actually, let me do something like this. Get rid of that part. I'm actually going to put this under here. This actually needs to like come up. So once again, whenever we talk about like shapes on shapes, this is why it works pretty well, is because then you can like extend out stuff, and like here's where we can actually decide what the perspective is. You know what I mean? And then like this can actually come this way. I feel like I need to make his neck a little longer. This needs to come down a little. This one needs to come down a little. See, now that we're kind of setting these up, we can... This would actually come up there. This shadow would curve around. Same thing there. You can like start adding in a little more saturation, a little more stuff. And really we're just going to stick with this value, or this color palette right now. And then I'll come in and kind of saturate stuff here in a little bit. So yeah, see, these little hits of like highlights are going to be real important to sort of remind us that we're in perspective. Because really I need to have something coming around, like at the bottom. And like his head's a weird shape. This actually probably needs to kick out quite a bit more. It's not quite in perspective. Oh yeah, and that's actually going to help this, because then it's going to help this. There we go. Right here's just about getting a better silhouette. It's funny, I'm using the cloud to kind of hide my like rim light type stuff. So I'll actually come up here. And that will give us a better... Oh yeah, I could probably do that, huh? Because yeah, I mean, we haven't really even designed our soldier yet, so this could be a Riders of Rohan type thing. That's true. We can actually pull up some reference, and because that's the nice thing about working kind of loose like this, is you can always come in and be like, oh, this kind of reminds me of this, and then you can just pivot. You can be like, oh sure, yeah, let's make it into a Lord of the Rings piece or something, you know. We can definitely do that. And then what's nice is like, what's going to look crazy if we have kind of the Zorn palette type thing here. Let's say I came in and did an actual boom, boom, and then you do a look at how much that like explodes off of the canvas compared to everything else. Look at that. That's ridiculous. That's why underpainting works so well, is because you can see the kind of dull warm under that super, super saturated cool. Same thing. So if I came over here and I just like did that, and see how I'm doing a little opacity difference, like very, very subtle pressure, so it's almost like a glaze of it, but then where I really want it to hit, do that. I'm telling you, this type of stuff's like a cheat code. Like, underpainting just works so incredibly well to get you really beautiful, vibrant looks, even in digital. Because with digital, sometimes everything's too vibrant, so it makes it tricky to like work with, you know. Let me get those eroded brushes. You see that? Like, just kind of wash that in. And we can get like big wash brushes and actually do that type of thing. But like, and then you select something from the Zorn palette, but then you extreme it out. You just sort of like do that. Let's do flat bristle, or no, let's do, flat rough. And then like you come and paint over like this. And then if I get like a gray, like a true gray color, and then I come in with one of those brushes. Let's do like a more darker neutral. Blue. Let's go pure white. See, what's nice is we can use that really bright blue to also act as an outline for or something to help outline our silhouette a little better. textured creases. Let's see. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it gives a little more streak, I guess, to the there we go. Yeah, that's actually a great little brush. Look at that. Isolda, welcome, welcome. That's a great brush. It is like a streaky bristle brush, you know? That's cool. I like that one. Liking that one. It's like an ink brush almost. It's like really streaky. Yeah, see, now we're getting that Craig Mullins style. So that's how he does some of this. I see. It's funny, the more I'm using this underpainting method, the more I'm discovering, like, all of these effects that I thought were like impossible to do, we almost get to do on accident now. He just kind of comes over the an underpainting with a very opaque brush. Kind of detail stuff out, right? Kind of abstract this hand a little bit. That's a very cool way to do that. Because that's how he keeps those like really interesting painterly strokes, is he has stuff underneath that he can like play, he can use those brushes to play with. So like really the only reason this brush is working so well for us, because if we started the painting with that brush, it wouldn't work very well. At least the way I think about it. It probably wouldn't work. But having it be this nice, like, weird, smeary brush that also streaks over what we have already allows it to have a nice painterly edge to it. And that's something I can definitely get behind. Actually, let me get that one. This would be more of the ambient occlusion stuff, because it's blocked by the light. That. Do this to like differentiate. So with this, yeah, this is pretty cool. I mean, this is gonna take forever, but I can see how this will be. So like, we're kind of getting the idea here, right? And then I can go in with a more softer brush, like an actual digital brush, and sort of spot render this to make it look pretty high definition stuff. But like, if we were to come over here, let me grab this blue color. Let me grab this glaze. Let me do something like this. Big, wide strokes, right? Kind of bring this in. Variety of strokes here. Variety here. We can also like darken this up right here. So maybe we have stuff like this, right? So we can see these paint strokes. Then we can just overlap, overlap, overlap. Here. Let's do wet bristles rough. And that's where we can come in and we can start like kind of smearing these clouds into itself, you know? Like select some of these. See, what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of coming and I'm getting rid of lines and seeing how that looks, because this will let us play a little more with like brushes and textures and stuff, because then we won't be relying on the lines to differentiate anything for us. And then like, since we'll be near our focal point, we can really start getting kind of crazy with these brushes. So yeah, and that's just using that kind of wet smeary brush. That's already looking pretty cool. Let me... Yeah, that's what's so nice. And you can see still how some of that, the underpainting here and some of this texture that we had still kind of shows through a little bit. Like right here especially. Yeah, literally that part's like transparent. I didn't even paint over that. But I think this is really interesting. It's cool to look at. But like now we can actually come in and start like full render. But even before we do that, if we wanted to, we can duplicate this layer and do render 2. And now we get our good friends, the Memilio brushes. And check this out. We can really make this thing start to sing. I've noticed the secret to really using these brushes really well is to stay within your value range. So like color picking is going to be critical, but you'll see how this sort of all comes together. Okay, they have to load up, so my Krita's frozen a little bit right now. There we go. Save. Okay. Here we go. So really we want... We want... So I'm just kind of tapping, moving along, tapping, moving along. And I love these brushes a lot because you can like just touch and then smear. And it works really, really well doing that. See? It's a very natural look. You can see those broken edges right there. It's like, I love these type of broken edges. Because then if you zoom back, it really looks convincing. If we do like this. It's nice. It's nice, bright brushes and brush strokes and stuff, and it can make some really convincing looks. brushes just look so cool, man. Oh my gosh. So cool. And if I do some of those, smudge that out. It's just fun. Like, how can you not just spend hours and hours pushing paint around using these brushes? Like, it's just so cool. Actually, I think we might be kind of done. Let me do one thing here. Is it this one? See, I need to start using the markers. There we go. I need to start using the markers, because yeah, markers are one of the things I haven't been able to really mess with all too much. Here we go. So much, yeah. So I will say that me coming from the traditional background stuff in art school really helped kind of temper these. I think that's a good word. It's almost like you have to wrangle cats. But my tip for using it would be like, okay, let's say I want to put like a detail stroke here of like this, one of these darker colors, almost make it look like the cliffs are coming up a little bit. I would grab, let's say like a knife. Let's do knife detail. Something that has a little bit of texture, but nothing overwhelming. And then I'm going to go quickly. I'm going to like hit and hit. And you see how it has that grain fall off, right? That's kind of what we're looking for. And then so I'm going to grab that color and then kind of come back over. Grab the green color, kind of come back over. And based on how much pressure I'm putting down, if it's a little bit of pressure, just like if it's a paintbrush on a canvas, even if you have paint loaded on it, if you go over oil paint or like wet acrylic paint, it's always going to smudge the paint you already have on there. So I think of it very much like, okay, what needs detail, what does not need detail? And then if I need to get rid of a brush stroke like that, I'll just come over it again and lightly tap it out. But you're like babying it, you know what I mean? So you can definitely get the texture that you want where you want it, which I highly appreciate. So if we do this and then I come over here and then like do little very hard brush strokes, you're gonna see that little bit of like that right there. But then if I grab like, let's say brush flat 6, and then I want to smooth out the edges here to like redefine the shape of the cliffs, I'll just come on the edge and lightly grab. Do you see what I mean? And how it's almost like a blender brush. If you lightly press down, and this works with oils too. This works with oils and acrylics, not necessarily watercolor, maybe if you're really fast. But every light touch is going to be a blend, while every hard touch is going to be a mark that you want to, that you have utmost confidence in, that you really want to see, you know. So like for our duder here, a lot of these brushes are going to be pretty hard brush strokes, unless I'm like, you see what I mean? So you can get a lot of detail here just from that sort of it gives you texture, it gives you detail, it gives you definition without really painting anything. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna paint every grain of wood. It's like, no, I'm gonna grab a brown and go over a darker color and like smudge some of the edges, and but your brain does the rest. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's I always like to say we make the audience work for their meal, but that's sort of what these do. these allow the type of edges like that. This edge right here, where it's blending that white and that brown, you can tell that this sash is going over his shoulder. And like, this isn't exactly connected, but if you zoom out, do you see what I mean? Like, if we just came in a little bit and maybe grabbed this and brought this part in here, there you go. Now you get what's considered like a painterly edge, because this smudges into here so you can tell they're connected. So you really have to think painterly like that with these brushes, which I really do like. And like, if we wanted a nice highlight, I would just grab one of these nice highlight colors and go like, and I'd press hard on the specular highlight, and then I'd kind of smudge out like this, right? And you get this sort of thing. But if I needed to temper it, I would grab this around it, and I would come in and sort of like very loosey-goosey sort of stuff, maybe overlap a little bit more. But you can see I'm just getting rid of some of those edges. And like, let's define that shape a little more. We already got that highlight, so let's grab it, let's stretch it out a little bit, right? Let's grab that brown, sort of define this a little bit more. But yeah, I would say these brushes are very, I would say they would start at like intermediate level. And then to get the really realistic look for it, they're kind of advanced. They just are. But there's a lot of power. They have a lot of power. And then like, if that comes here, and see how I just kind of connect the lines, and then if we come out a little bit, that's actually a little too clean, I think. I actually don't like that because it's too clean. So I'm gonna grab this, and let me do one of these. Oh, I know what I'll do. This is tucked in to the belt, so I can do like a shadow. Shadow, shadow. Let me grab that. Looks just the right amount of chaotic. You know what I mean? Grab that. Come up here. Let me grab this knife. There we go. Oh yeah, that one's real textured. It's so textured, it's like freezing Krita. That's great. Let's grab that. Come over top. We're adding a little bit of specular highlight to the top, so it gives that some texture. Even get that. Smooth knife. So yeah, if we want to get rid of some of this. Let's try to render out a little bit of this. So now I'm just going over the edge of the shield, and this 360 light brush flat canvas has a nice canvas texture on the end of each stroke. So I'm like grabbing, and then I'm like, okay, where do I want the sort of look of like, okay, yeah, there's a canvas here. And then I'm coming over like that. Like that. See? So you can still see marks underneath it, but it has that nice canvas texture. It's pretty convincing. Like, it's all about kind of balancing that optical illusion of it. And like, let's actually fix this highlight, because I think one of the things is the highlight will be here. Let me get rid of any darks right there, because those are going to be back behind here because of where the light source is, right? And like this. Now this is just Craig Mullins 101. Just make some textured marks around, and the audience is going to fill in the blanks of what it is. This. Oh, and we're getting some nice like blends here, like that weird paint color that went down, but I'm gonna keep it because it's just enough to like throw you off a little bit and be like, wait, how did that get there? It just builds interest. See, what's nice about doing the hands like this is very impressionistic, you know? I mean, this is essentially what all of this painting is just an impressionist painting, but making it to where you don't need the exact hand stuff makes it pretty nice. That nice saturated blue. let's see. I'm wondering if here we can do more saturated and lighter, maybe? So that's what we can do. And then since we have so many like bright blues around here, I wonder if we spend a lot of our time rendering out here on the face, if that'll pay off. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna grab our standards, and then we are gonna grab, actually, I've made my custom brushes. Okay, I'm gonna do my round brush because it's a little wet, a little bit of a wet round brush. And I'm actually just gonna come in here and start like draw rendering like this. This should look pretty cool. So this actually, that angle needs to be that. Because this grab like a pure white. If this is metal and it's hitting there, and also like there, and then yeah, a few places here. Then if I come up here, we can actually like fully render this out. And since we have a lot of blue, we can just make the bounce light kind of a nice light gray, and that should cool everything off. get a little bit more red and a little bit more saturated here. I see. I need to get rid of these lines. I need to just start using value to... That's going to make this actually look way more coherent. Yeah. So if I get rid of any line work, that's going to help. Going to make it fit a little bit better, you know. Yeah, so this I kind of broke off because this color blue does not exist in the Zorn palette. My actual like painting palette that I use whenever I paint traditional is I get what is it? It's the Zorn palette, so it's titanium white, ivory black, yellow ochre, and like cadmium red medium, or like certain companies call the color red that Zorn used was cad red. But the thing is, cad red doesn't exist anymore in the same way that it used to, because cadmium is poisonous. Like, it can kill you. So people are shying away from the cads, rightfully so. So you can get like cad light, cad medium, cad dark, cad tone, cad, they'll do cadmiums, but it's all synthetic. Like they take the lead out, they take the poison out, they take all that stuff out. And different brands do different methods of removing that stuff and remaking the hues. So they're called different things. I know Winsor & Newton makes what they call cad red hue, but I want to say it's like Gamblin makes scarlet, which is really close. But okay, so you get a kind of a warm red, kind of a deeper warm red. But then what you can add is you can go in and you can add like, what color blue? It's not ultramarine. I mean, ultramarine will definitely work. Cobalt. It's cobalt blue. Cobalt blue is a super vibrant blue, and it's one of the few things that you can't get a good look of. You can also use like Viridian green, and Viridian green is going to make a little bit more saturated green that we can get with the Zorn palette, but it's going to keep it tempered. It's not like a neon green. It's not like a I can't even think of the color green that might be that, because I don't use it. I try to keep my greens like dark olive-ish, like an olive green, and that way if I need to lighten it, I'll just add some form of yellow and like maybe a white to it, but keep it within that kind of olive, 2-day-old lettuce sort of green, because those greens are better to work with. They're easier to work with paint, rather than like a bright, vibrant, like neon green. Like this color green right here is the greenest I would really ever want to get, because if you start getting to like this stuff, it's just ungodly. Like it does not look good. But if you notice this palette, I have like this green. So I have like this green. I have like this green. You can see how I'm staying very desaturated. Like I only go to mid saturation on these, because you can't get a strong green really with the Zorn palette. That's actually one of the benefits, in my opinion. But see, like these darkers, yeah, these like darker, kind of olive, wilted lettuce greens. But if you do add a bright green or a bright blue or something, it pops on the Zorn palette. Like, really the only thing that's not Zorn palette on here is that blue. Every other one of these colors you get with the Zorn palette pretty well. Even the green, you just need a whole lot of yellow ochre and a whole lot of titanium white. But you can make this green. You know. But you can get the you can get some really nice looks just with a Zorn palette and like add one other color. And it's amazing how well it all kind of makes itself work, you know? Yeah, that's true. I need to change the point. If his head's tilted that way, the tilt needs to actually come over. I know there's like a... Isn't there like a liquify brush in Krita now? Or is there an actual liquify... Just... I mean, I can just repaint it, but... I could have sworn... Sharp mask, okay, mapping, other wave stuff. Oh, I bet it's down here. I think it is down here. I think it's under the tools. Colorize mask, transform. Magnetic curve selection. Assistant? Is maybe it? I don't know. But yeah, we can just kind of tilt it up a little bit. Or tilt it over, I should say. So if we kind of have that wet round brush. Just kind of get away from that. Oh yeah. Permanent green. It might be called that. I know there's stuff like forest green. Like, that's the thing. Traditional paint companies all have their own name for things. So like one color green from one company can be different. That's why it's kind of nice to see what the actual pigment number is whenever you use like the Munsell method, like Munsell color theory. That's a nice way to go because it gives you the exact, like, here's the hue, here's the saturation, like, here's the value on the scale. Like, it gives you like a, what, like YB 10765 is a very specific color, you know. I need to regulate that top a little bit. It's a little cone heady. And then this actually needs to bring down a little bit. Oh, that's cool. It put like a little emblem here. That's fine. We can use that. We can use that. We'll work our way around it. That's true. We can actually do some like ornamentation on this helmet. It's going to help us find the angle as well. It's almost like a samurai helmet. It's a little too long here, but yeah, it's fine. We'll make it work. This needs to wrap around a little more. And then if we grab the white. There. Might be tilted a little too much the other way, but that's fine. That at least looks like it's resting on his head a little better. This part needs to down. Here, we'll just add some marks. Make it look a little battle worn. That. We'll sharpen that. That needs to kick over. Looks like his neck's a little too long, but yeah. See, it's funny how whenever you change one thing slightly, everything else starts getting out of whack. I can probably crush this down a little bit. In fact, I could probably just move his head down. I think that would fix it. But this. Now let's overlap that over there. Because leather is not going to be as specular as metal is. Actually, that needs to tilt back a little. There we go. I do need to adjust this though, because that looks like something's hanging off the sleeve. Reestablish the silhouette a little bit. We can use that technique I was talking about a few YouTube videos ago about sketching at the end. Works really well to get detail without being super like critical of where it is, or I'll actually bring that down because that's a cool, like, I don't even know what it is, but it brings interest for sure. And we can even like really blow this out. Candy apple red style. Because all that light is hitting it. If I can do something like this. So I'm going to call this blue-gray bounce. I'm going to pick one of these colors from the sky. One of these more neutral blue. And I am going to do a wet round brush. No, I'm going to do a wet flat brush. I'm curious about something. Oh, that's too much. Okay. Let me overlay this. That way I can go like this. So you see how it's making like a purple? It's kind of what I wanted to happen. Okay, good. Yes, and then we have that blue right there. So in some areas this is going to appear really blue, in some other areas it's going to appear really purple because of how it's mixing. Okay? I'm essentially just wanting to give a little bit more interest and depth to some of this. But I don't want to, like, sounds lazy. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about like what it's gonna do or where or how, or so I'm just coming in and we're adding a little bit of this blue in some of these areas because it's just gonna add interest, and it's gonna do it in a way that we couldn't have like planned for. So you see what I mean? We have something like this now. And it just makes our focal point even more of a focal point because this is the only place in this painting to where this type of thing is happening. See, just like basic lines, doesn't matter what it is. I actually do remember that from Craig Mullen's schoolism course where he talked about sometimes you just want variety. You just want, it doesn't matter what it is. You can get weird photo textures and put them on like hard light, vivid light layers and do weird like warping and stuff. Just anything that makes people like, what's that? Is probably a good thing. See, it's a little too much though. Let me get rid of some of these there. Let's see, I can add that blue, almost like that. I'm going to erase this a little bit, but you see kind of what it's doing is it's allowing some of the light, the bounce light from the sky to hit without being super overwhelming. Yeah, see, that makes it look super cohesive, which is what we want, right? A subtle little wet round. Soften it. Soften it. I wonder if I can also do that to the hills here. It's a little too much, but so if we like come right here, it's too dark, but see how it's kind of just jacking with our values a little bit. Little hits of something, then we're erasing the rest of it that got a little too unwieldy for us. Yeah, it's getting there. Now I can probably come in and do our Memilio brushes again. Select all, edit, copy merged, new layer, edit paste. We're going to save. And see what we can really do just to make sure things are still working. I think it's still working okay. I do think the values here in the hills don't make sense because, I mean, this has to be a lot lighter if it's going into the background. I like the brush variety. I like the kind of craziness, but it also needs to work as... So there's our values, right? Select, deselect. And then, boom. I do wonder, let me go here. Nope, wrong button. Let's go to, what would it be? Filter, adjust, no, filter, gradient map. Here we go. Wait, no. This is not... Oh, maybe it is. Okay. I was like, this is not where I wanted it to go. To think about it, the algorithm has to like really crunch. Oh, I see what's happening. No. Cancel. I see what's happening. I need to do this. Select. No, there has to be the way to do it on its own layer. Well, maybe I need to do this. Select all, edit, copy merged. That's the only downside of working with like 15 different programs. They'll have slightly different ways that they do their algorithm blending and stuff. So if I come over here and then I go to map and then I go to gradient map. Yes, this is what I wanted. Okay. So, choose gradient preset. Yeah, this is behaving more like what I was thinking. See, you can do some like buck wild stuff in here, man. But like, it's a classic. This one's a banger. Yeah, we can do some cool stuff. See, this is a good way to change temperature very, very quickly. Kind of give yourself a different mood. Something like this, you see, almost like a purple for the darkest darks. But this one's just on another level. We can do... good. It's a little basic, but it pops a little more. Let's do that one. Okay. And this foreground, background, opacity. I could have sworn there was a way to tell it to be a color overlay. Create filter mask. That was what I was thinking. Okay. Gotcha. Then, yes. That's right. Okay. Then whenever you have this, then you change this to color. Now you keep your values. Okay, so it's a few extra steps. So you have that, but you can also just kind of nullify some of this down a little bit. You see? You sort of muddy it up. And if you come here, areas you really want to show. Wet bristles would just be pure. Yeah, there we go. and just sort of let's do soft round digital airbrush. That this gives it like more, you see more of like an underpainting style, you know, coming through. Kind of warm up some of this around here. Projection. We can then also have it right here, so we still get some of our color. Then we can there we go. This is the lazy man's method to getting your stuff to read exactly kind of how you want it. So you want your focal point to really be the focal point. You can also desaturate everything or like color grade it a certain way and then slowly bring it back up to your full saturation of exactly kind of how you want it to right at your focal point. You see? And what's nice about doing it that way is even these thick brushes and the impasto brushes, they still look natural even though you have some like color filters over them. You see what I mean? They still look correct, not like they're gradient it over or anything like that, but you have all that stuff you can go back to. Yeah, that's cool. All right, let me save that. And I think that might be my time. It says I've been going for about 3 hours now, maybe a little over. So I may take this one a little bit further, but yeah, this was a fun experience. This was a fun Krita thing. I like this working method quite a bit. I think you have a ton of potential. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot you can do with it, and you have total control every step of the way. So starting with the more sketchy charcoal stuff, then kind of color overlay, color washing, you know, covering the canvas as it were in a wash, then slowly start working with more and more like thick brushes. I think that's a cool method. I like it. Yeah, and these Memi Leo brushes alongside like graphite and charcoal stuff just really work well. It actually makes me want to break out the traditional stuff and like try this method that way and see how well it transfers over. So very cool. But yeah, there's slight tweaks I want to do to this one. I do want to like, what I need to do is I really need to get the perspective correct on the character. I think he's fine. It's just I think that I need to do something with the face or with the helmet. I think I need to knock the helmet back in the Z-axis more so. It's either that or I need to like take his face and kind of tweak it a little bit. Like bring it maybe 20 degrees, tilt it this way 20 degrees, but keep the helmet the same. But I like the little render style on the helmet. I like that. It gives it texture. It gives it some battle weariness, but it's not overbearing. And then like the nice canvas texture gives the cloth some texture. But it's all kind of impressionistic stuff because you get that same texture right here in the clouds. You know? Yeah, cool stuff. And then just some craziness right here, you know? Yeah, shorten the neck. Like, I need to bring his head back into the body a little bit, I think. But yeah, I think coupled with that, because, yeah, I mean, the helmet might be not too far off, actually. Like, because some people wear the helmet tilted a little. I mean, that's a thing that happens. I can probably make that little strap, the little buckle strap, a little more. One, I can add a buckle to it, but two, I can make it a little more weathered and maybe break up that silhouette a little bit. So it's going to be a lot of stuff around here. And then I might define some more of the outfit. Like, I think this kind of got lost where the arm actually goes into the outfit, and this is kind of the wraparound of this, what is that, a tabard? Is that what they call that? The thing that tucks into the belt, and you usually have your, like, coat of arms on there. Thank you so much. Yeah. Hey, it's all the Memulio brushes, for sure. That's all them. It's just, I treat it the same way that I would treat if I had a half-loaded brush of like oil paint with liquid on it, you know, or some sort of like medium. Because like the stuff I'm really happy with is like this brush stroke, these edges right here, because whenever you zoom out, you get that beautiful like toothy paint texture for the edges, and like here works really well too. So like the clouds I think are cool. They have weight. Like this one's a little bit too aggressive, but that's fine. I'll keep it something to look at. You know what I mean? And yeah, I do like the fact that the color gets kind of ridiculous here, and the rest of it is toned down quite a bit, because I think it adds to it. It just adds interest. I want it to be interesting to look at, and that's kind of the goal. It doesn't have to be perfectly rendered. It doesn't have to be super tight drawing. It doesn't have to be any of that. It has to just be, people look at it and like, oh, that looks cool, and that's about it. So yeah, I think that is it for me. Let's see. I'm going to stop the main recording on my YouTube version. And then, all right. And that was some Krita. It was very requested lately. People were wondering why I was not using Krita as much. I love Krita. Wrote a book about it. Yeah, I like it, especially with those new brushes. It's open source, so new brushes are made all the time. I'm currently making a brush pack for Krita. I have no idea when it's going to come out. I have a commission I'm working on. I have a box cover I'm working on for a game. Just finished a big NDA thing that you guys are going to hear about at the start of next year, though. So that's exciting. But a lot going on. And also, I do want to just sketch more. I want to just start sketching. We might do one of our... we might make it a rule that one of our streams every week, you know, we go live twice a week usually, but to make one of them, like every Wednesday is our sketch stream, you know, so we get Procreate or we get Krita or we get Photoshop or whatever, and then all we do is sketch, we crosshatch, we do all that stuff. And then we can just kind of play on the other ones, because I do need to just sketch, let go a little more, just do some nonsense, because lately it's been very technical, render, material study, make sure that this looks like gold, make sure that it looks like this light is casting gold of the, like, a lot of kind of heavy hitter stuff. And also I've been studying the Scott Robertson book, How to Draw. And he's doing a lot of dimensionality, to where it's like, oh, if you're in 3-point perspective and you have this field of view camera lens and you have a car that's coming at you and the tire is tilted in this direction, and how do you do the calculus of, it's all like velocity mixed with, like, it's a whole different animal. So it's kind of nice to do little bits of that as far as like shapes on shapes and make sure that it looks like it's still in perspective, and how do we tweak it or tilt it or that type of stuff. It's very technical, but it's a lot of fun. But it's also very exhausting because your mind is doing calculus while you're trying to freehand the stuff, and it's crazy. It's crazy. I recommend it, but it's not for the faint of heart. It makes you very tired very quickly. At least it does for me. But that's my time, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. Yeah, the UI of Krita, it's not the best, but it's functional. Once you learn it, once you know it, especially if Krita's like your only thing, you're great. You know what I mean? You can learn it, you can memorize it, you can hotkey it, you can macro, you can make it how you want it. That's the nice thing about it being open source. But whenever I can just load up like PaintStorm Studio or Clip Studio Paint, and like it's just rapid fire, I don't have to think about where stuff is. It's super nice, especially Photoshop. But I've used Photoshop for like 20 some odd years. So anyway, but that's it for me. Thanks for hanging out. It's always fun to do the streams. Hope you had fun. I definitely did. Learned a lot for the method, for sure. But that's it. I will see you guys on, what is today? Today is Saturday. I will see you guys on Wednesday, where maybe we'll do some more sketching. Who knows? Might do a little character, might do faces, or I don't know. I just know I need practice. But that's it for me. Thanks a ton, guys. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time. Peace.